So in the following of our PDF generation tutorials, in the second video, we're going to continue our views.py PDF download function. So next thing we're going to do after defining the buffer and also the PDF variable related to creating simple doc template, now we're going to define elements, which is an array, and we're going to add our data inside of it, append our data inside of it. So let's create our data array. The first one is related to the headings of our table. So let's get into the tables that we have. As you can see here, we have ID, first name, last name, and also the other information, which is the phone and email. So we can add the ID, the first name, last name, and the email and phone number. So now let's enter those specifications. The first one is ID. The second one is the first name, and it should be inside of the apostrophe. And the third one is the last name. The fourth one is the email address or email, and the last one is the phone number. So phone number. There we go. So now let us get some data from our database. So we want to query data from our database, and remember what we did for our tables. We got my classmates equals to classmates object as all dot values. So we're going to get all the values from our database, and we're going to define a variable called db.length or db_length, or I can call it len, which is the short form of length. And so here I'm going to also add another attribute, which is count, which is going to count the number of data inside of our database. So we have 3 data inside of our database. If I show you right here, you will see there are 3 with 3 different IDs. But as you can see, we have number 2, number 5, and 6. So it might be number 6, the ID might be number 6, but we have 3 data. So this is an important part of our code because we need to be careful about this. And from now on, it's better to add our members in a way that we have those specific numbers one after the other, and we don't have empty numbers. For example, right now we have number 1, number 3, and number 4, which has no data in it because we have deleted those data right now. But we're going to put other classmates in a way that imagine that all of the IDs are one after the other from here on, and these 3 are exceptions: number 1, ID number 1, number 3, and number 4. So let's continue with our code on VS Code, and here what I'm going to do is to write a for loop, and here for I in range dblen, so this is the length of our database. And here, because we have number 6 in our table, I'm going to write +3 because 3 of our data are deleted but are removed, but the empty tables are still in there. So I'm going to loop for 6 times. But if there is no data inside of them, then we're going to continue and do not add them to our PDF file. So first of all, we're going to say if I equals to, so the IDs that we do not have are I equals to 0, I equals to, and by the way, the IDs are not what we mean by the ID number 2, which becomes I equals to 1. So I starts from 0, but ID starts from 1. So we don't have the ID 2, so I becomes 1. And also it's true about ID number 3, which here becomes 2. And oh, actually we have number 2, we don't have number 1, so here I should be 0. We don't have number 3, and we also don't have number 4, which here becomes 3. Okay, you might get a bit confused, but in a moment you will understand what I mean. So here I'm going to continue, meaning that we're going to skip what we're going to do in the loop and go after the other number, the next number here. So what here we're going to do is to get the data. Again, we're going to query data, but with a specific ID. So let me copy this part. And so classmate. So after if, we have classmate, which is equal to classmates.object.get, and here ID should be equal to I plus 1. Okay, so if now we apply this, our query set is the first for the first I equals to 0, it will continue, so it will not get the classmates, it will get to I equals to 1, and here I plus 1 becomes 2. So the ID number 2 will be queried and will be printed to our PDF. So right now what we're going to do is to write data.append data, or we can say that, write this after that, data.append. Data is this array right here. So in the second row of our table, we're going to write the specifications of the person with ID number 2, who is, I think, Jane here. So let me check. Oh, it's Mariana Jane, yes. And so let us add the classmates. So the first one is ID classmates.id. And the second one is classmates.firstname. First name. Second one is classmates dot last name, and so next one is, so let me go just with this space. Okay, and now also we have classmates dot email, which is the third one, the fourth one, and finally we have classmates dot phone, and there we go. So for each one of the members that we have data in our database, we will write the specifications in the consecutive rows of our PDF. So let me save this, and now we exit our for loop. There we go. So we will loop this for loop 6 times, and we will skip the numbers 0, 2, and 3, which is actually ID number 1, ID number 3, and ID number 4. So we will have 2, 5, and 6. The IDs, the number actually related to our IDs. So right now we need to add the data to our elements. But before I want to do that, I'm going to use the table function. So t equals to table, and here I'm going to add the attributes related to that. So what that is our data right here, and then I'm going to give this some style, give this table some style, and so here we go. So I've pasted in all of these attributes, and so here we have align, right, inner grades. So we're going to add inner grades, and these are different specifications of this stylar table. So nothing fancy. You can just head over to the documentation of Report Lab in order to see how to set different styles of your table, and you can set your custom style, but here this is the most simplistic style that you can get. So now up to here we've given it some style, so let's finish this part. So now we're going to add the data, which is into T variable, and so elements dot append, and then we're going to add T, so elements, and then we're going to build the PDF elements dot PDF dot build, and instead of it we can write elements, and so the PDF will be built, but now here we should add this to our attachment buffer.sig 0, and now here we're going to return file response, and we need to import the file response in our code. Notice that so I have added it right above. So here we have Django.http import file response. And now we're going to add the buffer, and then we're going to, as attachment equals to true, and then finally the file name equals to, and then we can set a file name for that. I can write class list here, class list .pdf. So now we can save our code and run our server, see if we have any errors, and if we don't, we'll easily be able to download our PDF. So let's head over to our link over here, and as you can see we have download PDF. Let me refresh one more time. So now let's see. Okay, we've successfully got our PDF downloaded with the name class list. So okay, we're not seeing any of our data, but we have the first row, so we should have our members too. So let's see why we don't have our members of the class. So let's get back into our code, see if we have any errors, and probably here we have done something wrong with the data append. So, oh, I've written something wrong. Here we have or instead of commas, so that's why we're not having any of this happening. So let me save this views.py and let us do this one more time. So refresh our page and download the PDF. So this one, as you can see in this one, we have the first names, the last names, the emails and the phone numbers and the IDs. And if you complete your table and add other members, you will be able to see that your PDF will also be updated. So here, if I add other classmates, so for example, add classmates, so first name Jamie, and for example, I can add and I can add Jamie Kane, and phone number, something like this. Email address kane@gmail.com. So let's save this. And now let's download the PDF one more time. And as you can see, we have Jamie Kane added to our list instead of our PDF, and we have the updated PDF too. So perfect. Now, if you have followed along with this tutorial up to now, congratulations. And if you have managed to create this PDF, well done, because here you've done a great job of creating and generating PDF using the Report Lab library. And so that's it for this part of our tutorials.